Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel in the series of C programming. In the previous lecture, I introduced you to the history of C and answered some basic questions you might have before starting C. In today's lecture, I will guide you on how to get started with programming in C and discuss the essential tools you will need. So without any delay, let's dive in. At the beginning of this lecture, we need to know what source code is. See the definition. Source code is the human-readable set of instructions written in a programming language that defines how a computer program should perform a specific task. Source code is actually the program written in any high-level language like C, C++, Java, Python, etc. Programmers write the source code. So in this whole series, we programmers will write the source code in C language. The file which contains the source code is called a source file. The extension of the source file depends on the language in which the source code is written. In C, source file is ended with .c extension. Now a question arises, where can we write the C source code? Let's explore the possible platforms where we can write the C source code. First one is code editors. The most common example of code editor is Visual Studio Code, often known as VS Code. VS Code is a cross-platform code editor that is available for the major operating systems like Windows, macOS, and Linux. So you can install the VS Code on your machine and use it to write the source code. Second one is Integrated Development Environments, IDEs. The examples of IDE are CodeBlocks, Dev C++, Visual Studio, Eclipse CDT, etc. As the name suggests, IDEs are used for development purpose. The facilities provided by IDEs include writing code with syntax highlighting, code editing, code debugging, project management, and many more. In this whole series, we will use code blocks for writing, editing, and debugging our code. Code blocks is a cross-platform and open source software. Cross-platform means it is available for multiple operating systems. And open source means it is completely free of cost. You can download code blocks from its official website and then install it on your machine. In a separate video, I will show you how to download and install code blocks on your machine. Third one is text editors. Notepad, Notepad++ are the example of text editors. In this series, sometimes we will also use Notepad to write our source code. Notepad is a basic text editor that is available only on Windows operating systems and it comes pre-installed on Windows. So you will not find Notepad on other operating systems. In my computer, you can see Notepad here. My computer is Windows based. It is pre-installed. Now I want to write a source code on this Notepad. Okay. Now I am opening this Notepad. Here you can see a program is already written. This is written in C language. So this is a C source code. Now I want to save this code. So click on this file and then click on the save as. I want to change the name to hello 1.c. If I click on this save, the file will be saved in the myc folder with the name hello1.c. Okay, I am clicking on the save. Now the source file has been saved as the name hello1.c on my computer's hard disk. I can show you. Here is the myc folder and here is the source file. You can see here name hello1.c. I hope you understand. We can also write our source code on online platforms like RPEL, repl.it, online GDB, etc. These platforms are accessible through their official websites. You can visit these sites from any browser. So, in summary, we can write the C source code in code editors, in IDEs, in text editors, and also in online platforms. But it is not recommended to use online platforms for the beginners. After writing the source code, what should we do? We need to compile the source code and then run the compiled program. You know that computer only understand zeros and ones. Computer cannot directly understand the source code which we write. Therefore, our source code must be converted into the form zeros and ones, which means into the machine code. This conversion is done by the compiler. So compiler converts the source code into machine code. After generating the machine code, we need to run the machine code. This job is done by the operating system and computer CPU. So keep in mind that the compiler's role is only compile the source code. It is not involved in running the program. Here you can see I have included these two questions. Who compiles the C source code and who runs the executable file? Let's see the answer of the first question. A C compiler compiles the C source code into executable machine code. Here you can see a C compiler compiles this hello.c source file into hello.exe executable file. This hello.exe file only contains zeros and ones, which can be directly run by the operating system and computer CPU. On Windows, the C executable file will generally have .exe extension. Keep in mind that the file extension of the executable program is machine dependent. Here exe indicates that is an executable file for Windows. We cannot directly run this file on Linux or Mac OS. Actually, this hello.exe file is a software. This is an application software. When delivering a software to a client, we provide this executable file, not this source file. Therefore, our goal is to write programs in C and build this type of software. Second question is, who runs the executable file? I have already answered these questions. Operating system and computer's hardware, this means computer CPU, work together to run the executable file. In essence of this lecture, to get started with programming in C, you need a text editor or an IDE to write your code, a compiler to compile your code, a command line interface to compile and run your programs if you don't have an IDE installed. So if you use a text editor or a code editor to write your code, you will need to have a compiler installed separately on your device. Then you will be able to compile and run your program using command line interface. Note that we cannot directly compile and run the source program from a basic text editor. But it is possible in the case of code editor. In this case, we have to configure the compiler with the code editor. Command prompt is an example of command line interface on Windows. In the next video, I will demonstrate you how to compile and run a C source program using command prompt. If you use an IDE with a built-in compiler such as code blocks, you can compile and run the source program directly from the IDE. So both a text editor and a compiler or an IDE with a built-in compiler must be installed on your device. Okay, that's all for today's lecture. See you again in the next lecture. Thanks for watching.